Coast Guard. Well, those deaths have caused international condemnation on social media. Let's get that story from Alex in the Cube.
Isabel, with the weather changing, the departures from Libya, people desperately trying to reach Europe, we know these peak. The coronavirus hasn't stopped people trying to make this journey. But what I think is getting people's attention now is this is a story about people being killed once being returned to land, not about dying at sea. And that is, of course, the tragedies we've seen year after year. Well, the United Nations, the UNHCR here, Charlie Yaxley in this tweet saying no one should be returned to Libya. The UN calling effectively for the EU's policy, which is to fund the Libyan Coast Guard to try and externalise the borders, calling for that policy to have the plug pulled until there can be a review of what is exactly going on in the country. And it's not just the UNHCR, the IOM, that's the UN body, the International Organization of Migration. Their spokespeople here, Safa is one of them, tweeting to say how many lives need to be lost for the Europeans to take action. Let's put this on a map for you. We're talking about a city roughly 120 kilometers to the east of Tripoli, the Libyan capital. It's Coms here, putting it on the map for you. And while on this map, the country looks fairly straightforward, let me show you another map which goes to show how divided a country Libya is. Because after the fall of Gaddafi, the country has effectively been split. Split between this area in blue, that is the internationally recognized government there, backed by the United Nations, and then this territory here, the orangey red. That is the territory held by a rebel general, Haftar, a rebel in the eyes of the UN, but has got backing from other countries. This is the situation. The country is divided, and this is the port where this took place. Now, the UN have been saying a country like this is not fit to take people back, even if those people have been rescued within the Libyan waters, although often we're seeing a lot of European countries putting pressure on the Libyan Coast Guard to intercept people in sort of the international zone. There's been a lot of discussion, a lot of debate about that, Isabel. But why this matters? It matters because European money has gone into funding this organization, which the EU has defended its cooperation with in the past, and that training. There's no statement from the European Union, despite our requests today. There's also no statement from the Libyan authorities about what happened when these 3 people were shot dead. Now, the UNHCR, the IOM as well, reporting they were shot dead when they were coming aboard, they were coming ashore, apparently trying to flee. That's when they were shot. But either way, it underscores, I think, the gulf that exists between the policy Europe has previously pursued in funding the Libyan Coast Guard and the suggestions from the UN organization. So I spoke to Charlie Yaxley. You saw me bring up one of his tweets earlier. He's a spokesperson for the UNHCR, and this is what he told me.
We can no longer afford to ignore what's happening inside Libya. We need to take greater steps to ensure that nobody is returned there after being rescued at sea, and greater action is needed to improve the human rights situation in the country. Any support that is given by other states to Libyan entities must be made conditional on an improvement in the human rights situation there. It must be monitored to ensure that's happening, and if it does not, such support should be halted.
But just unpacking what Charlie is saying there, what the UNHCR are calling for, effectively calling for an end to the policy that Europe has previously pursued until there are radical changes. Now, as I say, we've reached out for comment. No answer from the EU authorities, no answer from the Libyan authorities, but a very strong condemnation, Isabel, from the UN organisations. And this, of course, isn't a story that's going away. We know people, despite COVID, despite the conflict, are trying to pursue a course, a path through Libya, across the Mediterranean, to reach a new life in Europe. This story and the tragedies accompanying it will be something we'll be keeping